The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the tragic story of Lolita Hall, a hardworking delivery woman who did nothing wrong but was shot by an elderly man who thought he did nothing wrong. Here's the story. It was supposed to be a quick stop in rural Ohio, just another package pickup for Lolita Hall, a 61-year-old rideshare driver. But when she arrived at the home of 81-year-old William Brock in Clark County, her routine day turned deadly. Investigators say Brock, consumed by paranoia and repeated scam calls, believed Hall was part of a plot to defraud him. As she approached his porch, he allegedly confronted her at gunpoint, blocked her from leaving, and fired multiple shots. Hall collapsed in the yard, dying before help could arrive. Police say there was no threat, no scam, just fear turned fatal. Now the elderly homeowner faces murder, kidnapping, and felonious assault charges. His small community stunned. Was Brock a frightened old man acting out of confusion, or a killer who let paranoia pull the trigger? This is an incredibly tragic story. You know, two people who never would have been a part of something end up being a part of this incredibly sad, sad day where Lolita Hall loses her life. She's just doing her job. I'm going to show you the video from her dash cam camera, okay? This video is in her car. She pulls up, and then you'll see what happens. I'm going to warn you, it's graphic, it's real. This is the alleged crime. You'll see most of it. You'll hear it as well. Let's watch.
Stop. Stop. Or I'll call 911. Stop.
No, you're not leaving.
Hi.
No, you're not. You're not leaving in one hole.
Stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
Get in there.
Stop.
Get in there.
Help! Help! Help!
Get in on the phone.
Help!
I'll shoot the other way.
Help!
Come on, get out.
Help! Sir!
Yeah.
I'm here to pick up a cat.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're after. You're after the...
Help! Help!
I'll shoot you in the head.
Don't do that, please, don't. Don't, sir. Please
Who do
don't.
you work for?
Over. It's right up there. You can see it. You can see it. You can look, sir. Please. Just look.
Well, owns the property here?
Right here. Stop!
I'll shoot you. Give me that phone.
No.
All right, kid.
Please, don't shoot me anymore. Please.
You need an ambulance.
Please. 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 Let's talk.
Begging for her life. She doesn't understand what's going on here. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation. Why did William Brock shoot Lolita Hall? You heard her. I'm an Uber driver. I work for Uber. Here to help answer our question tonight, criminal defense attorney Ellis Palavides and retired DEA Supervisory Special Agent Michael T. Wilhite Sr. Great to have you both here. Thank you so much. This is such a tragic, tragic story, but there's several layers to it. Before we start our discussion tonight, let's take a listen to William Brock, the shooter, the killer, speaking on body cam.
Come here. You all right? Stay by 1 second. Are you the shooter?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna pat you down, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just going to hang on to that. Yeah, I'm going to hang on to that, too. I'm going to have you sit in my car, okay? What's your first name, sir?
Bill.
Bill.
William.
William? Okay. Hey, I'm going to pat you down real good, so can you step out here real quick, and I'll just pat you down again?
Okay.
They got a squad coming for you, okay?
I figured that.
Well, I mean, you're bleeding pretty good here from your ear, okay?
Yeah.
So just hang tight, all right? You're not under arrest, okay? You're just being detained in the car for now, okay? And like I said, there's a squad coming to check you, okay?
Yeah.
So just give us a few.
I'm sure glad to see you guys out here because I've been on this phone for a couple hours with this guy trying to say that he had a nephew in jail and had a wreck in Charleston and just kept hanging on and needing bond money, and this woman was supposed to. Yeah, figured it.
All right,
I kept getting different names and different stories out of him.
He just walked out here and just started popping up.
No, he said it was a scam. That somebody called and told him that his nephew was in jail and he needed to bring $12,000 downtown. And next thing you know, he tells him that he's got the $12,000. She shows up here and tries to take his $12,000, so he shot her. He said slammed the door on his head.
She slammed the door on his head?
Yeah, that's what his whole side of his head is bleeding.
Oh?
Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah.
We didn't go inside your home.
Well, there's $12,000 in an envelope in there that I was supposed to take to Springfield. And she was sent out to Springfield this week.
Okay.
And I was supposed to take it to this black vehicle in front of the courthouse instead of this movie. And things will be all right.
Michael, I'll begin with you. It seems that the shooter was the subject of this day-long scam, and unbeknownst to the Uber driver, she's coming to pick up an envelope with $12,000 in it.
Vinny, I gotta say, this is unfortunate on either side of the coin, on both sides of the coin. Initially, I gotta say, looking at the footage and reading about the incident, I'm thinking maybe you got a man, just a mental deterioration. But now, as it goes on, I continue to look at it. I'm thinking just paranoid. Constantly getting calls about being arrested, thinking he's actually talking to the police officers. Being threatened, family members being threatened. And then eventually they said they're going to send an Uber driver to get this money that he's scrounged up. And lo and behold, an Uber driver shows up. This Uber driver doesn't know what the heck is going on. Only thing she is charged with is picking up a package. Now, I've seen some footage where the defense attorney is trying to say she broke into the house. She entered his house. I haven't seen anything that even remotely shows that. Based on what I've seen from the show here, but I really think it's unfortunate, but I don't see self-defense there because she obviously is backing away from him. She's trying to get away from him, and he's basically surging at her. He's the aggressor. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah. She's begging for her life. Take a look at this, Ellis. This is from the Clark County Sheriff's Office. Subsequent investigation into this incident revealed that while Mr. Brock did receive scam calls to his residence wherein he was threatened, Ms. Hall, an Uber driver, also received communications from the same subject or an accomplice through the Uber app for her to pick up a package for delivery, which is a common service provided by Uber from Mr. Brock's residence. Ellis, what are your thoughts here about the why of it? As we watch that video, she's begging for her life. He seems focused on her phone.
So I think to understand what happened here, we really need to look at the jury instructions because that's going to tell us what we need to be looking for. And when you're dealing with a self-defense claim, there is an objective standard and a subjective standard. You must have reasonable grounds and an honest belief that you are in imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury. So the objective standard in this case is the context of the scam and the fact that there were threats made. And the subjective standard, which is going to be established by expert testimony, they are going to permit an expert to testify that he had delayed cognitive processing, speed, and decreased problem-solving abilities occasioned by his age and isolation. So it's not just about us looking at this situation just with the video. We actually, in the jury instruction state, need to put ourselves in his shoes. And that's what's going to be at issue.
Michael, we have a real problem these days with these scammers calling up and trying to manipulate people into situations. And it seems oftentimes someone who's a little bit older can fall prey. But in this case, the man who fell prey, was fighting back with it and had a gun and had an ability to fight back against these people. And this poor woman is thrown in the middle of it. Lolita.
Exactly. The mere fact, Vinnie, that she also was, Miss Hall was also getting contact or phone calls from the supposedly bad guys, again, doesn't mean that she was involved in it. Doesn't mean that she was anything to do with or even aware, as far as picking up the money. Only thing she's charged with in her head is, I'm just picking up this package, which apparently is a service that Uber actually does. Okay, but you're right. As far as going back to the question, as far as the elderly becoming prey to all kinds of scams and stuff, these guys, they prey on them. They track them down. Do a Facebook, social media, neighbors talking to each other, everything. So they're looking for these guys. They're looking for the elderly to take advantage of. One of the biggest scams now, is being told, is Bitcoin's scam, where they contact the elderly to try to get them to pull money from these Bitcoins like ATMs. So yeah, it's sad.
It's an epidemic.
But that's what we're in. It's an epidemic.
Absolutely. Michael, Will Hite, great to have you on the program. Great to see you. Ellis is going to stick around. Coming up next, who was scamming William Brock?
May I ask who I'm talking to?
Yeah, this is the officer speaking.
Okay, what officer?
Yes.
No, I need to know what officer, sir.
You're going to be in trouble.
The Court TV podcast will return.
So pretty much, from my understanding, what Sergeant was told is they called her and said, your grandson's in jail, you need $12,000. So he calls and tells whoever that, hey, I got 12 grand. They show up. Where's the envelope, Sheila? You know what I mean? Let's just see, like, come up here. I got my body cam on. Yep.
So why does it?
So they called him.
Oh, okay. You ain't gonna say it no more. I understand. Tell him that his son's in. Yep.
And then she showed up. We'll probably need to take his phone.
So investigators are inside the home now, right? And they're discussing what had been taking place, right? They're just coming upon the situation. They're figuring this all out, that this older man was being scammed. They were calling his home all day long. And then the Uber driver shows up to pick up the package. In that video, there was an envelope. That envelope had $12,000 in it. And that's what was supposed to be given to the person who showed up, that was sent there by the scammers. Now, police, I don't know if they knew that she was sent by the scammers or if she was a part of it, but she was not a part of this. She was scammed as well. So they're in there, and the phone rings again. This time they answer it. So I'm going to show you that call. Then the scammer hangs up and then calls back. Take a look.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm on.
Do we want him out? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hello?
Yes, who's this?
May I ask who I'm talking to?
Yeah, this is the officer speaking.
Okay, what officer?
Yes.
No, I need to know what officer, sir.
You're going to be in trouble.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The female you sent over here, you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, she's been in an accident. And this is actually an officer. It's Detective Cruz with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. I need you to dial a number, get this number so I can explain more to you. Hello? Hello?
If you'd like to make a call.
How you on speakerphone? This one?
I'll give it.
See how you put it on speaker?
That speaker thing right there?
Right here?
Yep. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. We got disconnected there.
Okay.
What were you saying?
She was in an accident. This is Detective Cruz with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. She was taken to the hospital. I need you to call so we can get more information on her.
Okay. What type of accident?
It was a serious accident. We'll just say that.
A serious accident?
Yes.
Is she okay?
No, she's not doing well.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She just say she was taken to the hospital.
What hospital is she
I'm
at?
not going to tell you that until you meet me so I can make sure you're family or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to be there. Give me 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Where is the gentleman that was there?
Huh?
The gentleman that was there.
Okay.
Where is he?
He's talking to us, so I need you to come.
Okay, thank you. I'll be there.
20 minutes, get ready. Let's see if he shows up.
Do we think he's coming here?
He said he's coming here.
20 minutes.
He didn't show up. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. Who was scamming William Brock? Was this one person? Was it someone he knew? Who was scamming William Brock? Here to help with the investigation, private investigator Lauren Vellucci and Black Ops private investigator Manuel Gomez. Great to have you both here. Interesting the way that the sheriff's office played it there, because I think at that time, I don't know if they knew that Lo-Letha Hall was not a part of this. I think they felt that she may have been a part of it at that moment. I don't think they knew that she was also a pawn in all of this. Lauren Vellucci, what are your thoughts about how you track that person down, or who are your suspicions that is doing this?
So ironically enough, Vinny, this happened to my parents about 2 months ago. Pretty much the same thing. And before that, I would have said that maybe they were someone out of state, overseas. But it turns out that the people who were doing that to my parents were local. And they were literally at the place where they wanted my father to drop off the money. So hopefully in this investigation, they're able and putting in efforts to find who it actually was, because they are also culpable for this murder.
Yeah, the big problem there. Manuel, what did you think about how they handled the moment there when the scammer is calling and then calling back?
Well, first of all, I want to say my condolences to both families on this, Vinny, because either way, it's going to be a death sentence for the old man because of his age. Either way, and the innocence of that woman. I was disappointed in how the police officer reacted. Clearly, she was not trained and did not have the experience in dealing with an investigation. It seems like to me in any type of investigation, she had the opportunity to lead that person on, to make her believe that she was possibly the Uber driver, and to, get more time and more information. She gave up more. And I got to say, Vinny, as a private investigator, I get hundreds of calls every year for the same thing. And we call it in New York the grandparent scam, okay? And one of the things, Vinny, that I offer people is a suggestion on how to protect our seniors from this. And what I tell them is that you need to give your grandparents password. Come up with any word that only your family would know, and then tell them that password so that when someone tries to scam them, they can tell them, well, do you know the password? And if they don't, then they know to hang up the phone. This small little technique has saved many of my clients a lot of money. Unfortunately, this happens to numerous seniors around the country.
Absolutely. It happens every day to everyone. I mean, if you have a cell phone, you've got people scam texting you and scam calling you every single day. Lauren, I want to put this up on the board. This is from the incident report. This was a little bit of follow-up that they did. They mentioned that he never showed up, but then I ran the number the male used when I was at the residence. It came back to Bell Mobility out of Canada. I looked up the carrier and saw it was the third largest carrier in Canada. I'm not buying that he's necessarily from Canada. You know, there are ways that people make their phones look like they're coming from anywhere these days. The Uber driver, to me, the connection is the Uber driver, right? Because that's where someone had to go on an app to send that Uber driver to the house. I think that's the way you track down the scammer.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, there's all kinds of apps that you can pull up and make your area code look like you're from different states, different countries, all of that. So that means really nothing. But there is possible tiebacks to when they went and requested that Uber driver. My fear is, like my co-panelist said, I wasn't super impressed with the job that was done when the officer was talking to the suspect. And so my fear is that they didn't maybe do that kind of stuff, the extra mile. And, you know, I'm happy to be wrong, but that is my fear at this point. But there are ways to do that as well.
Absolutely. We're out of time for now. Big thanks, Lauren Vellucci, Manuel Gomez. Always great to see both of you. Still to come, what is William Brock's defense?
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of the tragic death of Lolita Hall, shot by a man who believed she was part of an elaborate scam. Here's the story. In a tragic twist of mistaken fear, 81-year-old William Brock is accused of shooting and killing Lolita Hall, a rideshare driver sent to pick up a package. Prosecutors say Brock had been tormented by scam calls and believed Hall was part of a scheme to steal from him. When she arrived, police say he confronted her, seized her phone, and opened fire as she tried to flee. The bullets struck Hall in the chest, ending her life in moments. Neighbors describe Brock as quiet, polite, and increasingly fearful in recent months. But that fear turned deadly on his front lawn. Now he stands charged with murder and kidnapping, accused of mistaking innocence for danger. Was this the act of a terrified man or the moment paranoia turned lethal? Okay. I want to play you a piece again of the moment. I'm going to give you the warning. It is graphic. But this is a dash cam video of the alleged murder. You hear everything and you see the back and forth from the videos. They go past Lolita's car. Let's take a look.
Stop. Stop. Or I'll call 911. Stop. No, you're not leaving. Right. No, you're not. You're not leaving in one hole. Stop. Give me that phone. Stop. Give me it. Stop. Give me it. Help! Help! Help!
She's screaming for help. She's begging him to stop. She's apologizing. She's backing up, trying to get away. He is pursuing her. He has the gun. And you hear he's focused on, I want the phone, I want the phone, I want the phone. So after the shooting, there's a 911 call. Let's take a listen to that.
I need the sheriff and the ambulance real quick out here. There's been a shooting. Well, I shot her in the leg the first time, and I shot her in the shoulder. The guy on the phone has been trying to get money out of me. And he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
She's still alive during that 911 call. You can hear her in parts of the background. So with all this in mind, like, he knew what 911 was, right? I get it, he's old, but he knows what 911 is. So when he's got the scammer in front of him with a gun, he doesn't call 911 then. He waits till he shoots her. Then he calls 911. Putting all these pieces together brings us to the next question in our investigation. What is William Brock's defense? He's got the gun, she doesn't. He's got the ability, he knows how to call 911. Here to help answer that question is criminal defense attorney Ellis Palavidas. Also joining us, longtime Massachusetts attorney Richard Grundy. All right, great to have you both here. Let's take a quick listen so we can hear it from the attorney who is representing William Brock. This is John Paul Ryan, who will be representing him on a case that you'll see here on Court TV. Let's take a listen.
It's clear from the filings that we did last week that this will be a self-defense case. This is a case that, without dispute, involves the threats to kill an 81-year-old farmer. He reacted to that threat because he believed it to be true. And in his mind, there's no question that he either had to give the money to the con men and the assailants or be killed. Those were his two options. If an individual has a good faith belief that they are in imminent harm of death or serious physical harm, that they are permitted to use whatever force is necessary to repel that aggression, whether or not it's true or not, as long as it's in good faith that they have that belief.
All right. Ellis, where is the harm coming from? The perceived harm. I watched the video. We all watched the video.
So that video is a little older than some of the more recent court filings. And those more recent court filings have involved expert testimony, which is going to establish that he had this slower and slower processing speed. So I think that there's been a bit of a shift. So you got to put yourself in his shoes. And the jury, the instruction says this, they got to get into his shoes. So you have an older man who's being threatened, which is corroborated by the state's evidence. So that's not going to be in dispute. They're saying someone's going to come, and then there's a knock on the door. Now that's a pretty scary moment. Does he respond in the way a strapping 35-year-old strong person would? No. But because the subjective element is important, that's going to play a factor in this case. And so maybe as we look at it, obviously, there isn't an imminent threat in the moments that they're leading up and she's walking away. But in his mind, the slower, older mind, is that threat going to reappear just because she gets away with it? Because she's the only way he's going to be able to stop this in his mind. That's why he wants the phone. So that's the defense. What the jury does is up to them.
Rick, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I think that explanation is pretty on the money. In Massachusetts, it would be the difficulty of he's really straddling two defenses. One defense is self-defense. Self-defense is a reasonable man standard. He's also trying to add to that he's not necessarily a reasonable man, or his reasonable man standard is less. So he's going for a diminished capacity argument as well. And they don't blend really well together because, again, the self-defense is a mental state. So if you're going to say, I'm going to argue diminished capacity, you've gone down a separate path. So it sounds to me like the latest filings put him with one foot on either side of that line.
Let me give him one more potential path here. Here's something else that John Paul Ryan, his attorney, said.
When you have someone break into your house and claim they're there to get the money, I don't see what time passes. It happened almost immediately after his house was broken into. Now, she may have been an Uber driver, she may have not, we're not sure yet. But she broke into his house. She entered his residence without permission, allegedly, to get this package of money. She didn't knock on the door and said, "I'm from Uber, can you please give me whatever the order is?" She entered his house without permission, without knocking. And when she entered his house, he thought that this was the time when he was either going to die or he had to turn over the money.
Alice, what do you think about that little wrinkle in all of this?
Having worked on cases, sometimes you start in one place and then you get really deep into it and you end up at a different place. So, I've been following and was preparing and reading the court dockets leading up to this, coming as a guest on the show. And I feel like he's doing that to establish that objective imminence, if you will. However, by filing the expert reports and the expert notice, which, as my esteemed colleague indicated, he's right. They are trying to bring in this diminished capacity piece, right? And the state actually objected and tried to prevent and preclude on that basis, saying that there's no diminished capacity defense in Ohio. But the judge allowed it in because they viewed it similarly to like a battered spouse syndrome, where if somebody has a unique set of characteristics and the jury, per the instructions, need to put themselves in his shoes, they should be allowed to hear about what his unique characteristics are like. So I think that would be a wiser course, because that, to me personally, doesn't have that same ring of truth. Personally,
yeah,
I would opt for he's an older guy.
And Rick, ultimately, a jury decides, right? So do you think they're going to see the video, but they're also going to hear about all the scams, the scammers calling? They'll probably hear the scammers speaking with police officers. What do you think there? Does the jury have a level of sympathy for this older man, or does all the sympathy lie with the Uber driver who's dead and was begging for her life?
So I think as you hear this case come to you, you start out perhaps when you hear opening statements that you have that sympathy factor and possibly that jury dismissal, that jury sympathy going towards the defendant. However, as it unfolds and you're going to physically be seeing this crime happen, you're going to be listening to this woman begging for her life, I think it's going to dissipate fairly greatly. There may be some jury nullification at the end of the day, depending on the lesser included offenses that come in there. But, the other thing, when you had your investigator speaking, it was truly unfortunate that the female investigator just didn't say, "Hey, got the money, where do we meet up? Let's get together." Because he clearly thought right away, what about the old man? What's up with the old man? How is he? So he's piecing together that this injury to this woman is because his plan's not working. It may plant that seed back in the jury's mind that maybe this Uber driver had a sense of what was going on.
Ellis, do you think there'll be, how is the balance of the sympathies from your perspective in front of this jury?
I think the difficulty in this case is that there are mitigating circumstances, but I don't know that it rises to the level of letting him walk. The reason you can't resolve it, however, is because any time is a life sentence when you're 81 years old, right? So I have a lot of clients where, yeah, maybe we could do a deal and we should do a deal, but what kind of deal can we do when you're 81 years old? You give me 5 years, that's still not tenable. And the other piece, too, is you have a family. The prosecutors have a family that they have to answer to. If you were able to get the scammer, right, then a lot of times that could shift that focus a little bit, and it gives them a little bit of relief instead of having that brunt fall all the way on him, because now they're going after him for kidnapping. I mean, they're really throwing the book at him on this.
Yeah.
And there's no resolution, so you have to put it there, and I think a jury is going to ultimately, I don't know that they'd go for the top charges necessarily.
But it doesn't matter.
He's gonna.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. If it's the lesser included, it's over for the defendant. Ellis Pelavitos, great to have you on the program tonight. Rick's going to stick around. Coming up next, should the scammers be prosecuted for murder?
Whoever made those violent threats, that's the person to blame.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
This isn't the first time that these dangerous people have done what they've done. They've done this in multiple states to multiple people, taking advantage of the elderly, taking advantage of those who are vulnerable in our society. An 81-year-old man who lives by himself, who's being threatened to be killed if he doesn't turn over a substantial part of his life savings, clearly would cause people to be concerned for their safety.
That's William Brock's attorney talking about the scammers, the ones who were making all those calls to his client during the day, the ones who called the Uber driver and sent her over. Take a listen to his take on who's at fault here.
I don't think that he is the one that's to blame. I think that the very violent threats that were made against him, whoever made those violent threats, that's the person to blame. That's the person that set up this robbery. That's the person who created, assuming this woman's an innocent woman, who brought her into this situation. He's the one that's to blame. And I think the focus should be there.
Have, to your knowledge, investigators from Clark County made any progress on trying to find the person who was making those phone threats?
I think the investigation's ongoing.
And that brings us to the next question in our investigation, and it's about the scammers. Should the scammers be prosecuted for murder? The ones who were calling him, the ones who called her, who put these two people who never knew each other before this moment together. Here to help with the investigation, retired FBI Special Agent, Professor of Practice at the University of New Haven, Kenneth Gray is with us, and still with us, longtime Massachusetts attorney Rick Grundy. All right, Kenneth Gray, before we get to whether or not we're going to charge him, we got to find him. How difficult is it to find him, and how do you find him?
Well, a year ago, Vinny, I told you that I thought they were going to find him, and they haven't found him as of yet. So, you know, it's more difficult than I thought it would be. I thought they would have him in hand by now.
So what are your thoughts about, to me, it's like a but-for test. We used to do this in law school. But for this wouldn't have happened. But for these scammers, this shooting never, ever happens, Kenneth.
You're absolutely right. But and the scammers are the one that put this in play. They sent Lo-Letha over to his residence. They put Brock in a position where he was afraid that he could possibly be attacked. But at the same time, Brock was trying to keep Lo-Letha from leaving the residence. He did not fear for his life at that moment from her. So I don't know if you can say that he was acting in self-defense. I think he was acting to try to keep her from leaving, to hold her for the police for investigation.
Yeah, Kenneth, let's take a listen to William Brock, because he spoke while he's in the hospital bed because he got hurt during all this as well. Let's take a listen.
I was supposed to put them into the courthouse. They would be waiting there for it. Okay. And they had time, got real nasty threats and stuff. Yeah. For long enough for her to drive out. And I said, well, where's she at? He said, well, she's at your house now to get the money. And if you don't get the money, she's going to kill you.
So, Kenneth, that's the threat he said that was made, the final threat and the final phone call before she shows up. If you don't give her the money, she's going to kill you. And obviously, again, he's older. He's got a gun, though. To me, the real problem is that he knows how to use a phone. At no point does he attempt to call 911.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but he shot her once, and then when she still was attempting to leave, he shot her twice more. So his action was to stop her from leaving the area, not to stop her from attacking him.
I'm wondering, these scammers, is it a matter of cold calling, or is there some research on their victims, their prey, done on the front end of all of this? What are your thoughts on that, Kenneth?
This is a grandparent scam. And usually with a grandparent scam, there is some research going through social media, trying to find out something about the person so as to be able to use names of of children or names of grandchildren or names of nephews or nieces, there's usually some research done about the person that you are targeting. And this is something that occurs quite often against the elderly.
Rick Grundy, we've reconnected with him, longtime Massachusetts attorney. Rick, is this the type of case, if Kenneth Gray was able, or someone like Kenneth Gray is able to track down these scammers, could you try them for murder?
Yeah, I think, again, so let's look at the standard we'd have to prove is that a reasonable person would believe that there is a probability that a serious crime that could result in death would occur based on their actions. And again, I'll harken back to what we hear the scammer say on that phone is he's not buying into this police officer's she's not suggesting anything, but she's leaving the door open that maybe it was just a car accident and it sent her to the hospital. He's not buying into that. He's like, well, what about the old guy? He knows he's an old guy. He knows that he may be involved in creating this harm. So clearly, I think you have a little seed to work with right there that that's in his mind that his actions may have led to a person being seriously harmed. So it would naturally follow that a homicide could be a part of that.
All right, Rick, we have about 45 seconds here. Final question to you. If you found the scammers, you would need the testimony of Brock. Would you give him a deal? Would you let him slide if you were able to get the scammers?
In a heartbeat, absolutely. And just harkening back on something that our other guest said is when I was at the Attorney General's office in charge of the Criminal Bureau, we had an elder unit, and these people are absolutely targeted. They're targeted from their senior citizen centers. They're targeted by people at pharmacies. Anywhere they go, whatever they do, they are targeted.
All right. Big thank you tonight. Rick Grundy joining us and Kenneth Gray. Always great to have both of you on the program. We appreciate your sacrifice of time and your expertise. We'll see you again really, really soon. I look at this case, and this is an awful case, right? These two people never would have collided but for those scammers. A man who never would have shot anyone is now in court on murder charges because he was a victim. He was a victim of the scam. But the looming question as we get ready for this trial on Court TV, it's scheduled for early January. The question is, what will the jury do with these facts? Will they feel any sympathy for William Brock? I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.